Alright, so the definition of direct variation, first of all, is any function of the form y equals k times x. Y equals k times x. So, can somebody tell me, how does this look like slope-intercept form then? Riley? Alright, so what is what's the main thing that's missing from slope-intercept form? What do you not see up there? The y-intercept. Okay, so here's what you need to know. In order to be direct variation, it has to go through 0, 0. Because think about that. If there's no y-intercept here, doesn't mean that the y-intercept is 0. Okay, so any function of the form k times x, you can think of k as the same thing as slope, okay? And so what that means is, this is going to go through 0, 0. And that is going to hopefully become clear when I draw a picture of what the graph can look like. So this is what our equation looks like. So some different variation equations would look like this. Y equals 2x. That looks like that, doesn't it? But as I mentioned before, sometimes they relate things like formulas. So I'm going to write down the formula for the perimeter of a square. The perimeter of a square with side s is 4 times s. Okay, so P of s is the y equals k. Do you see how there's no addition after that? So as long as it's 4x or 4s or 4 times the independent variable, or just no plus afterwards. Here's the other deal. Do I say here that k has to be positive? No. So it might look like this. Y equals negative 2/5 x. Okay. So the restrictions on this, there's one thing that k cannot be. K can be positive, k can be negative, but k cannot equal 0. Because if k would equal 0, what would happen to the x? It would be canceled out. Okay, so it just wouldn't make sense if k were 0. So that's one restriction. The other is that you understand that y equals k times x is the same thing as y equals mx plus 0. So that you understand this has to be a plus 0. There should be nothing there. Okay. What that's going to do then is it's going to be a line, but what point does it have to go through, did we say? 0, 0. So it's either going to look, if you graph direct variation, it's either going to go like this. Notice that is a line that goes through 0, 0. So make it go through 0, 0. Or it could be a negative slope, so it could look like this. Okay. So I know that when you see this, that k is the same thing as the m. But when we're talking about variation, because we're relating two quantities usually, two things, like here it was the perimeter and the length of the side, we have a special name for k. It is also called the constant of variation. So if I ask you, what is the constant of variation, I'm just asking you, what is K? Alright, so we already know that K is not going to equal 0, right? We also know that K is the same thing as the slope, so let's write that down. K is the same thing as the slope. And then what I want to show you is how do we find K? So I have a question for you. Let's go back to this equation. If I told you to get K alone on the right side, what would you do? Divide by X. That would leave you with this equation. K equals Y divided by X. So this is how we find K. Now, can you guys tell me, can you see that okay? How is that similar? It's not quite the same. How is that similar to how we just found slope with the table? How did you guys find the slope in the opener today? Riley? We did the change in y over the change in the x. Here, we don't need to do that here. You know why? Because these had y-intercepts and these ones don't. So if it goes through 0, 0, you don't even have to do the change. You could just do y over x, y over x, y over x, because we know it goes through 0, 0. So it's similar to what we did yesterday, but it's a little bit shorter to do. To see if something is direct variation, what would have to be true is when we find y divided by x, it would have to be the same every time. Let's check it out. If you got a calculator, get it out. So first, let's check in these tables, are these direct variation? So I am going to do the y divided by the x, 3.2 over 2. What do we get? 1.6. Then I do 2.4 divided by 1, and I get 2.4. And then I do 1.6 divided by 4, which is 0.4. All right. Well, hold on a second. Did I get the same thing? No. So is this direct variation? No. So the reason why not? Y over x is not constant. It's not the constant means the same, right? When we did y over x, it's not constant. Okay. Let's try these. Y over x. 12 over 3. 20 over 5. 32 over 8. What do we get? 4 and 4 and 4. What do you think? It is. So is this direct variation? Yes. Y over x is constant. What was y over x? Y over x is constant. What was it? 4. Can you guys tell me what the equation is then? The equation is y equals kx. Y equals 4x. It's as simple as that. The equation for that table then of variation is y equals 4x. Okay. Let's work through then some equations. And remember, if I can rearrange the equation and get it to look like this, it's direct variation. What do you guys think about number 1? Yes or no? Yes. If it is, find K. What's K? 5. How about number 2? Wait, you got to answer my question first. Yes. K is -3. All right. Now, y is not alone. Let's get it alone first. What should we do? Yep, and I'm going to point out something to you. X divided by 3 is the same as 1/3 times X. Agreed? Yes. Is this constant variation or direct variation? Does this look like this? It doesn't?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. What's K?
1/3.
All right, let's get Y alone again. Divide by 0.25. Divide by 0.25. Y equals, now remember we have to figure out what K is, right?
Yeah.
Are you okay with me writing a 1 here? Okay. Now, instead of you telling me that K is 1 divided by 0.25, can you do 1 divided by 0.25 and tell me what it is? It's 1 over 1/4. It's 4. All right. Is this direct variation? Yes. K equals 4. Now, at first, you're looking at 5 and you're thinking, no, it's not. Okay, get Y alone just to humor me. Because the equation has to be Y alone, agreed? So let's subtract 5x from both sides. Are you good with that? So I have 2y equals negative 5x. Now what should I do? Divide by 2. Oh. Does this look like y equals k times x? It does. Okay, so I subtracted 5x. I divided both sides by 2, and I got y equals negative 5 over 2x. That is direct variation. That is direct variation. So this is a yes. What's k?
-5.
K is negative 5 over 2. Alrighty. Let's try the next one. What should I do first? Subtract?
Yeah.
Subtract 9? Y equals 0.5x. Is this direct variation? Holy cow, I wonder if they all are. Yes. K equals 0.5. Okay, 7. Is y alone?
Yeah.
Yes. Does this look like y equals k times x?
No.
No, because it has a
9.
plus 9.
Yeah.
No, this is not direct variation. Don't try to find k then, because it doesn't have one. Okay? We don't answer the rest of the question. If it's not direct variation, there's no constant of variation. Okay. Let's solve for y. What should we do first?
-4.
Subtract 4x. So I have 3y equals, I'm going to write this as negative 4x plus 8. You could write 8 minus 4x if you wanted. Okay. Now I divide by 3. I'm going to divide both sides, or everything, by 3. Y equals negative 4 thirds x plus 8 thirds. No. If this wasn't here, it would be, but direct variation has to go through 0, 0, so this is a no.